about. In this video, I'm going to share the insights into how to prepare for the TCS NQT. Now, the TCS NQT or the TCS Ninja, TCS off campus, they're all same, okay, because they are conducted by the same TCS Ion. Okay, the only difference is that in case of the cognitive part is all very similar, okay, whether it is NQT or Ninja or off campus, cognitive is all same. Only when it comes to the IT programming, if you have applied for purchased the IT career readiness pack or the IT programming separately, of course you'll be writing the IT programming, or you might have chosen the BPO or the banking, etc., then you'll be writing cognitive plus that segment. Okay, so now in this video I will be discussing about this cognitive IT programming and also summarizing the interview part. Okay, so I put the timestamp, so whichever is relevant you watch it. But if you're if you're aiming for getting a placement in TCS, okay, I would suggest that you watch the complete video, right? So as you know, the test pattern as far as the cognitive skills is concerned, you have the three parts, and IT programming you have two parts. We'll see one by one in detail. So cognitive skills, verbal ability 24 questions 30 minutes, and reasoning ability 30 questions 50 minutes, and numerical ability 26 questions 40 minutes. Okay, so this is what generally it is given, and so for a total duration of like 2 hours. Now then IT programming, like you get 10 questions, multiple choice questions, and 15 minutes duration for that, and then 2 hands-on coding, so for which you can use C, C++, or Java or Python, and then like 45 minutes is given for that 2 coding. Okay, and total duration of 3 hours, that is 180 minutes. Okay, now we'll go like section by section, topic by topic. First, the numerical ability part. Now when it comes to the numerical ability, so these are the topics. Okay, now you can just put a plus or minus 1. Okay, so I have looked about 8 to 9 different slots in the previous sessions. Okay, so about I think this is like plus or minus 1 you can for each of this. Okay, so we'll just look at it one by one. So reasoning ability, verbal ability. Okay, so these are the topics. First we'll start with the numerical ability. So numerical ability, you get 3 questions on numbers related to simplification, decimal and fraction. Okay, even the questions like surds, okay, for example root 77 minus root 76, okay, so which is what is the value, even that such kind of questions, okay, I'll categorize into this. So surds and indices or simplification, decimal, fraction. Okay, so such kind of questions you get about 3 questions. So I put a sample question here. So sometimes you may have to go for calculator, sometimes it is just purely a formula based question, something like a cube minus b cube and so on. Okay, so sometimes it is formula based, sometimes you may have to use the calculator. So TCS usually allows you to use the calculator, but I would personally suggest not to go for calculator each and every sum. Okay, because sometimes using calculator you'll be wasting your time, right? So this you have 3 questions, and then you often get 1 question on divisibility reminders, or like factors, that is like LCM, HCF factors, you get 1 question, or divisibility reminder you get 1 question. Okay, so so I put a sample question here, you can look at it. And then time and work, of course you get 2 questions. So actually if you look at the individual topics, okay, the question levels are very simple. Only complication is that when you put them together, okay, so when you solve like different topics, different questions from different topics, okay, it becomes a little complicated. And also the time constraint. Okay, so within that time you have about like 1.5 minutes for a question. Okay, so now that becomes that makes it difficult. Otherwise it's if you look at it like individual questions, TCS is very simple. Okay, so probably you may not even have a single question for which you don't know the answer. Only thing is that putting it together and then the time factor makes it look like a complicated one, right? So time and work, you get 2 questions. It can be like individual. Mostly you get like individual based question. Sometimes you also get like group of people, like working together and all that. And time, speed and distance, again here you get most often generic questions and sometimes questions on generic time, speed and distance questions, or sometimes questions on like trains, okay, or people coming in opposite direction and meeting and so on, okay. So this is a sample question. This is actually one of the popular under repeated question what you see on the screen now. And percentage, of course, like percentage increase, percentage decrease, comparison between two values, okay, or you go for a certain increase and then decrease. So such kind of questions you get on percentage, 2 questions on percentage. And profit and loss, of course, so based on profit, loss and discount, okay. You can either go for like formula based solving, or like I put a percentage video in which I have discussed some basic ideas. You can look at that. So profit and loss, 2 questions usually. And then simple interest, compound interest, you get 1 question on, most often it is like this, you get 1 question on simple interest and 1 question on compound interest. So compound interest, often the numbers are very comfortable numbers in such a way that you can solve, but sometimes if you get like say 4 years and all that, okay, in a compound interest problem, it becomes very difficult. So maybe in that case you can go for calculator, but that again you have to basically like you have to formulate and then write up to that step, only then you can go for a formula, calculator, okay. So just because you have a calculator doesn't mean that you can get the answers for all the questions. So first you have to formulate and then keep it ready and then use the calculator after that. So 1 question in simple interest, 1 question in compound interest. Ratio proportion, 1 question, okay. So you can get you can expect questions like this, or questions like what is the third proportional, what is the fourth proportional, such kind of questions also you can expect. And of course 2 questions on mixtures and alligation. So either you can get questions like this, okay, so where you have you're mixing and all that, or sometimes like the weighted average question, okay. So in a class of 50 there are 20 boys whose average weight is this, there are 30 girls, okay, whose average weight is this, and so on, okay. So such so generally I would recommend you to use the alligation method to solve such questions. So you can get 2 questions on this. You don't get any questions on geometry, but the mensuration part, that is the area, like volume, volume, area, and like the perimeters kind of stuff, you get like 2 questions, okay. So you are expected to know the volume of a cylinder, cone or sphere and so on, and then of course cuboid and all that, and then area of a square, area of a rectangle and so on. And of course the different perimeters formulas. So you have to be aware about that. You get 2 questions on that. And data interpretation, very important. So you get like 2 separate data interpretation questions, that is based on a data. You'll have only 1 question, okay, because usually data interpretation they give about 4 to 5 questions, but here if you have like 2 questions, both the questions are on different data, okay. So the data is usually given in the form of like a bar chart or a pie chart or a table. In TCS I often found like bar chart or table, okay. So you're given a data, you have to interpret it and then give the answer. 2 questions. Statistics, very important. So you have to know mean, median, mode, okay, standard deviation, okay, right. So here they have asked for coefficient of variation. So all this again formula. So all these formulas you should know. Mean is nothing but the arithmetic, the average, you know that, okay. So so this you get about 5 questions. Now coming to the reasoning ability part, okay. So we have solved, I repeat, we have solved videos for this numerical ability and the reasoning ability part, okay. So you can go through our videos. Now coming to the reasoning ability, so alphabet series, you get like 1 question on alphabet series. So basically you will be answering this based on the position of the alphabets. So it's better to write down all the if you don't know the position, it's better to write down all the alphabets and then know their positions, right. For example, like D is 4, I is 9, M is 14, and sorry, M is 13, okay. MS13 and so on. So like that you write the based on the position, you will have to answer this. Okay, so alphabet series, you're asked for either the odd one out or what is the next term of the series and so on. So alphabet series 1 questions you can expect. Coding decoding 2 questions. So again, see what again, there is another thing here. What I may look at it as a coding question, someone else may look at it as an analogy question and so on. So that kind of so something like time, speed, distance, or time and work, I think we will not have any disagreement. Okay, but in some cases we may have a slight disagreement on what topic you fit into. Okay, so I'll call it as like coding decoding question. So here what they have done is like you have alphabetical order. Okay, so one in the reverse order, one in the normal order. So which one is like similar, which one is different and so on. Okay, so coding decoding questions, or sometimes like you're coding like smile as like some A B C D E and so on. It's that kind of questions also you can expect. Okay, so coding decoding. And then arrangements are 2 questions. Okay, so people are standing in a queue, this is the order in which they are standing and so on. Okay, or a question like this. Okay, it's given, right? So who's taller, who is shorter, that kind of question you get about 2 questions. And then data sufficiency, very important. So you're given like 2 data, means I'm sorry, 2 statements. You're asked a question first of all, you're given like a data along with it, or you get like 2 separate statements. So you have to say whether statement 1 is sufficient or statement 2 is sufficient, or both together are sufficient, or each alone is sufficient, or sometimes data is insufficient. Okay, so you have to answer that. So for all this, please look into our reasoning ability video, and 1 question on statement and assumption, and also like 2 questions on syllogisms. Okay, so you can just use the typical like Venn diagram method mostly to solve this and see which conclusion follow, which conclusion doesn't follow, and so on. And then you get a good number of questions on like the visual reasoning. So you have one particular question like that is one particular type that is getting repeated. You get 2 questions, what we call it as unboxing a cube, right? So you have a sheet. Okay, so which if you fold it as a cube, right? So if let's say A is on the top, okay, what will be in the bottom? Okay, or if Y is on the front, okay, what will be in the back, and so on. Okay, so basically what is opposite or what is adjacent, that kind of question you can expect. And then 2 questions on cuts and unfolding, that is you are folding a particular paper in a particular fashion and then cutting a part of it and then in a particular shape, and then you are unfolding it, right? Now this specific question was not asked in like see, all of the questions I've taken only TCS questions, but for this particular question alone, the image that you see is not a TCS question. The image that I don't know, it might be a TCS question, I don't know, but this particular image I've taken it from one of my SSC JEE exams. Okay, so that 2 questions. And blood relationship. Okay, so blood relationship basics, like people belong to the same generation, you should give them in the same level and solve. So sometimes you get a mix of coding, that is A plus B means A is the father of B, that kind of blood relationship question also you get, or otherwise you get this kind of blood relationship. You can expect about 3 questions on blood relationship. And then this probably someone may call it as attention to detail, I don't know, but I'll just call it as a Venn diagram question. Okay, so this also you get like 2 questions. So for example, here they've asked like how many persons speak American and Russian, which means you have to see what is common between the rectangle and the triangle. Okay, so such kind of questions you get 2 questions. And then 4 questions on analytical reasoning. Okay, so analytical reasoning, so basically you are given a set of like statements, you have to put them together, right? And then you have to, for example, here you are identifying who are the male members in the family. Okay, so they may ask you like who is the lawyer, or who is the doctor, or who is the engineer. Such kind of questions you can get. The only problem here is like it is a bit lengthy. Usually when you solve, when you combine all this, you get like 3 or 4 questions below that, but here it is only like 1 paragraph, 1 question, so it is a little time consuming. So we have to be careful, you have to be conscious of the time that you consume for these questions and so on. And 1 question on like statement and conclusion, right, the inference. and 2 questions on like visuals. Okay, so visual based question. Sometimes the typical non-verbal reasoning, like what comes next in the series. Okay, so this is more like analogy. So sometimes like what is next, which figure will be the next in the series and so on. So that also you can expect, right? So that's about the reasoning. So as I said, as far as reasoning and numerical, you will find a good number of like videos related to that. So make use of that. Now coming to the verbal part. So verbal, the error identification. Okay, so you get about three questions here. You are given a statement, okay, which is broken into sentences. Okay, so which part of the which is like the sentence is broken, which part of the sentence is has an error or there is no error. So you get 3 questions on that. And then what I like to call it as a parajumble. Okay, so you may use a different name for it. So basically you are given a paragraph, okay, so in which like statement 1 is given and the last statement is given. In between 2 statements are missing and you are given like 3 options. So what will be the logical order? Okay, so which will come first, which will come, and which will be the second statement, which is the third statement you have to identify. So such kind of question, parajumble, 3 questions you get. And then reading comprehension. So reading comprehension, for one passage you get about 3 to 4 questions. So you get about 7 to 8 questions in reading comprehension. So basically you are given a passage, you are asked what is the main theme of the passage, what okay, or some specific like aspect of the passage the question is asked. Okay, so sentence completion. Okay, so you have a you're given a statement, right? So what are the possible word, okay, you can fill in with is asked. Sometimes sentence completion is asked this way, where you have 2 blank spaces, right? So what will fit into blank 1, what will fit into blank 2, you have to identify and then you have to answer the question. And sentence correction question, you can expect 1. And sometimes like you don't get exactly antonym synonym question, but you can expect questions like this where they're asking for meaning of a particular phrase. Okay, so for example, call it a day, what is the meaning they're asking here. And then grammar questions also you can expect about like 3 questions on like the tenses and all that. Okay, you can expect, and there's here is a sample question. So that's about the verbal ability. Okay, now coming to the IT programming. So IT programming, I don't have the split up. Okay, so this topic, these many questions you have. Okay, so that kind of a split up I don't have, but I can give you like the topics in which the different questions are asked. Of course, data structures. Okay, so arrays and like functions and like the looping statements, operators, recursions and so on. Okay, so these are the areas in which you need to focus. I can show you some of the sample questions. Okay, so for example, here we have a question on linked list, specifically circular linked list. Likewise, I've seen questions on stacks and queues. Okay, so you get questions on pre-order, post-order. So here you have a question on prefix and a postfix and infix. Okay, so like what is the output of the program? So such kind of questions you can expect. And there's another sample question here, another question on array. Okay, so a question on hashing technique. So such questions you can expect. There are about 10 questions, 15 minutes for programming logic. And then regarding coding, so you should know the basics of like programming. So you can answer these coding, you can type the code in either C or C++ or Java or Python. It's up to you. So I've given 2 sample questions here. Okay, so this is the first one, first sample. You can pause the video to look at the details. And this is the second question. These 2 are asked in the same exam, so something like this you can expect, right? Now as far as the interview is concerned, probably it will be better if I add another video, okay, for the interview. But anyhow, I'll just give you the overview of the interview questions. See, please understand one thing, whether you are from a computer science IT background or a non-computer science background like biotechnology or civil or mechanical or whatever it is. Okay, so don't assume that you have to know the latest technology, the advanced technology, whatever is the state of the art technology that is used in the industry today, that you have to know. Not that. First of all, what you have to know is that you have to be strong in your basics, whatever you have learned in your 4 years of engineering or your 2 years of MCA and 2 years of MSc, whatever it is, okay. Right, so that part first of all you should be very strong, okay. So you should have your ground, when you should have your feet on your ground very firm, only then you can okay, so you can build other things, okay. So that is the very important part, please understand that. So be thorough with your whatever is the current course of study, especially be thorough with that basics, okay. So then of course you can focus on the other things. And of course, like if you are from a non-CS background, please try to solve a few questions at least, like finding the prime number and so on, okay. So that kind of questions at least, like you just so get some understanding of the programming and all that, okay. So these are some of the sample questions that you can expect. With these questions, like both CSIT and non-CSIT can expect. But if you're a, like, let's say a non-CSIT like biotech or civil or mechanical, please be prepared for questions in your own area also. Like even for like TCS, like they can ask questions related to your own core as well. Some, at least a few basic questions, right? Then they may ask you questions related to computer science IT if you are from non-CS. Of course, if you are from CS, what will be asked and what you have to answer and so on. And HR interview, again, the obvious questions I have included, okay. So you have to prepare based on this. Probably we can go for a separate video as far as the interview part is concerned, okay. So that's it. I hope this video was useful to you, useful towards the preparation of your TCS NQT or TCS Ninja or TCS off campus. If you like this video, please click on the like button and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, please do post your questions in the comment section below. We'll be very happy to answer your questions. And if you are not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great day and all the best for your exams.